Now heat and calorimetry. See, heat and calorimetry means when two systems at different temperatures are connected together, then heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature, right? We earlier discussed that. So always heat flows from higher to lower. So see, heat lost by that higher temperature and heat gained by that lower temperature are same. So heat gain is equal to heat loss, right? So we can call it as conservation of heat. So whenever heat is given to anybody, either its temperature changes or its state changes, right? If we are talking that example, that boiled water, so that boiled water just gives the heat to the surrounding. So that means surrounding temperature rises, but see, surroundings space is very vast. That's why no difference of temperature of surrounding because of that heat energy. But see, that boiled water space is very small as compared to surrounding, right? So loss by that particular water. So because of that loss, water decreases its temperature. Okay. So now change in temperature. See, when the temperature changes on heating, heat supply directly proportional to change in temperature, directly proportional to amount of substance, and directly proportional to nature of substance. So because of all the factors, we can write one equation which is delta H is equal to ms delta T. M is the mass of our body, S is specific heat capacity per kilogram, and delta T, that is change in temperature, right? We can write also another equation. Now in this equation only one we just make change, that is C. What is C? C is specific molar heat capacity, which is per mole. All the other terms are same. So see, specific heat capacity. What is specific heat capacity? Definition: that amount of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mass of the substance through 1 degree, it is called specific heat capacity. Means simple, raise of temperature of unit mass. So SI unit of specific heat capacity, joule, kilogram, Kelvin. And common unit that we are using in day to day life is calorie per gram degree Celsius. For specific heat capacity for water, which is 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius, right? So here now we are talking about molar heat capacity. See, now molar means same definition, but now one changes, that is unit mole. So amount of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mole of the substance through 1 degree. So unit of molar heat capacity, SI unit, which is joule per mole Kelvin, and commonly we are using calorie per gram degree Celsius. After that we are moving on to heat capacity, amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a system through 1 degree, right? So see, delta H is equal to S delta T. S is our heat capacity. Now SI unit of that heat capacity is joule per Kelvin, and common unit we are using calorie per degree Celsius, right? So H2O specific heat capacity does change, but fairly very less. So that is our specific heat capacity. Now change in state. Now when the phase changes on heating, then heat supplied directly proportional to amount of substance which changes the state, right, is directly proportional to the nature of substance. So now change in state. Change in state is, for example, solid to liquid, liquid to gas. To convert solid to liquid, some heat energy will be needed, right? So formula for that energy, that heat energy, is m into L. M is mass of the substance, and L is the latent heat of process, right? So what we call this latent heat? Amount of heat required per mass to change the state of any substance, right? So unit of that latent heat is for example SI unit, means joule per kilogram, and commonly we are using latent heat unit is calorie per gram, right? So here the change in state always occur at a constant temperature. Is for example, if ice is converting into liquid, right? So see, this conversion is at constant temperature, which is 0 degree Celsius. Similarly, at boiling point, which is 100 degree Celsius, that liquid converts into gaseous state, right? So see, solid to liquid and liquid to gas. So if we are talking about solid to liquid or liquid to solid, that particular latent heat, we call it as latent heat of fusion. We are using latent heat of fusion for conversion for solid to liquid and liquid to solid. And another conversion, that we are using latent heat of vaporization from liquid to gas or gas to liquid, right? So in any case, material is not as its boiling point or melting point. So temperature will change till the time a particular state change temperature reaches. For example, solid means ice changes into water, liquid form, right? But during that change, temperature remains constant. Is for example 0 degree Celsius. But after all the ice converted into liquid, then after that, if we rise the temperature of that liquid, what happens? That liquid temperature also rises, right? So see, if we are talking about water at 50 degrees Celsius at 1 atmospheric pressure, so now if we are increasing step by step, so temperature changes to 0 degrees Celsius first, right? So from minus 50 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius temperature rises, but no change in state, right? Step 2, ice melts to H2O liquid, keeping the temperature constant, means at 0 degrees Celsius. Now we have to convert that water temperature to 100 degrees Celsius. So at 100 degrees Celsius, we know that or H2O liquid boils to steam, keeping the temperature constant, and after that further temperature increases. So that is the graph of temperature versus heat. So the slope is inversely proportional to heat capacity, right? So length of horizontal line depends upon ml. ml is latent heat, and latent heat, the energy required to change its state, right? Pressure dependence on melting point and boiling point. See here, we are drawing a graph, P versus T graph, pressure versus temperature, right? So for substance, melting point decreases with increased pressure, and for other melting point increases. So melting point increases with increase in temperature, right? So see, from AO line, it is sublimation curve. Why AO is sublimation curve? Because it is in between solid and vapor, and solid and vapor is called sublimation. Then OB is in between solid and liquid, that's why fusion curve, solid to liquid. OC, that is vaporization curve, liquid to vapor. Point O, which is triple point, means all the state of matters are connecting at that point. That's why we are calling it as triple point. Means at that point, that substance behaving like three states of matters, mixing it. Point C is critical temperature. So triple point, the combination pressure and temperature at which all three state of matter coexist, is for example solid, liquid and gases. So for H2O at 273.16 Kelvin and 0.006 atmospheric pressure, that water means H2O is behaving like three state of matter, similar solid, liquid and gas. Now what is critical point? So the combination of pressure and temperature beyond which a vapor cannot be liquefied is called as critical point. So that particular point beyond the vapor, now it can't be liquefied. We cannot just convert that substance into liquid form. So that point is known as critical point. So corresponding temperature pressure are called as critical temperature and critical pressure. Right. Now see from the phasor diagram, right? We can see that melting point decreases with increasing in pressure of for H2O. So what is regulation? Now the phenomenon of refreezing of water melted below the normal melting point due to addition of pressure. It is due to this pressure effect on melting point that cooking is tough on mountains and leisure in pressure cooker. Because see, if melting point here melting point is decreases. Why? Because see, whenever we are on mountains, what happens? Pressure decreases. If pressure decreases, melting point decreases. That's why that cooking is tough on the mountains, because we are not getting enough pressure to cook that food. That's why on mountain we have to give more and more temperature to get that pressure, right? Heat transfer. So there are three types of heat transfer. First is conduction, convection and radiation. So our first topic is conduction. See, thermal conduction is a process in which thermal energy is transferred from higher energy level, means higher heat energy substance, to lower heat energy substance. We can also call it as a hotter part of a body to colder part of a body. Is for example, whenever in your home, whenever you just stir one spoon inside boiled water, after some time you are getting heat towards that touching part of your palm, right? So why? Because heat transferred from hotter portion to that colder portion. That's why after some time you feel that heat is transferring, right? So here also this portion of the body is means it is at hotter part and this is at colder part. So heat transfer from left to right, so that is the direction of heat flow. Okay, now what is the amount of heat energy flowing through that road? So that is Q is equal to Ka Tc minus Td upon L. Now what is Q? Q is rate of heat energy flow, right? Rate of heat energy flow, that's why unit of that is joule per second, or we can call it as watt. Capital A is area of cross section. Tc and Td are the difference between two temperatures, right? And length of the road, which is capital L, and small k coefficient of thermal conductivity, means this coefficient of thermal conductivity depends on the material of the rod, right? So coefficient of thermal conductivity, here it is defined as amount of heat conducted during steady state in unit time through unit area of any cross section of the substance under unit temperature gradient, the heat flow being normal to the area, right? So coefficient of thermal conductivity SI unit, which is joule per meter SK, right? So joule per meter second Kelvin, or we can say watt per meter Kelvin, right? Meter stand for length of the rod. Okay, now see, thermal conductivity, the greater will be the rate of heat energy flow for a given temperature difference. So see, you can write that K metal metals can transfer heat very fast in comparison with the non-metals. So that's why K metals greater than K non-metal. So thermal conductivity of insulator is very low because they can't transfer heat energy from one level to another level. So therefore air does not let the heat energy to be conducted very easily. So for the combination of rods, two ends kept at different temperature, we can use the concept of equivalent thermal conductivity of the composite rod, right? So see Tc minus Td upon L. Now temperature gradient. Temperature gradient means Kelvin per meter, right? Temperature per unit length is known as temperature gradient. So the term Q, the rate of flow of heat energy, again it is called heat current, remember. So the term L upon Ka is called thermal resistance of any conducting rod. See here, these all terms are related to that, means these are similar to that electricity, right? Electric current, then resistance, here heat current, here thermal resistance, right? So we can compare it with the electricity. Now again, thermal resistance. What is resistance? Obstruction. Thermal resistance means obstruction offered to the flow of heat current by the medium, and unit of that is K, Kelvin per watt, right? So then we are moving on to our next topic, that is convection. So the process in which heat is transferred from one point to another by actual movement of heated material particles from a place at higher temperature to another place of lower temperature is called thermal convection, right? So if material moves because of the differences in density of the medium, the process is called natural or free convection. For example, force convection, circulatory system, cooling system of an automobile, heat connector, right? So here this motion comes from the difference of temperatures, right? Is for example, yeah, sea breeze and land breeze. So what is sea breeze, land breeze, trade winds, monsoon burning of a tea? Now I am giving the brief introduction of sea breeze and land breeze, so we can just study about this convention, right? See, sea breeze. In morning we know that sun rays strikes on the surface of water, and it is also strikes on the surface of land, right? So because of that sun rays, land material is different from water material. That's why land temperature rises quickly than the water. So the surface on the land is quickly increasing in temperature, but water still have lower temperature. That's why that wind is flowing from land towards water. So it is called sea breeze, from land towards water. Now land breeze, at time what happened, that land now because of that sand, right, the temperature decreases very fast, but still in night that water is on the high temperature, right? So that's why now that wind is coming from water surface to land surface. So it is completely opposite to the sea breeze, right? So these are the examples. Now radiation. See, what is radiation? Radiation is, it is process of transmission of heat in which heat travels directly from one place to another without the agency of any intervening medium. Is for example, sun rays are coming towards earth's surface, right? See, in between sun and earth there is no atmosphere. In between them is space, vacuum, but still these radiations are coming from sun to the earth, right? So here radiation no need any type of intervening medium. So because of this radiation, that radiation contain heat energy, and that heat energy occurs in the form of electromagnetic waves, right? So because of this radiation, we get heating effect to the earth because of sun. So these radiators are emitted by virtue of its temperature, like the radiation by a red hot iron or light from a filament lamp. So everybody radiates energy as well as the absorb energy from the surrounding. Is, for example, when you just giving so much heat energy to iron rod, that iron rod color will be of red color, right? Because of temperature, radiations are coming from that substance will be changing, right? So that is the reason of radiation. Now next is Newton's law of cooling. So Newton's law of cooling states that the rate of loss of heat minus d by dt of the body is directly proportional to the difference of temperature difference. See, formula of Newton's law of cooling is minus ds by dt is equal to k T2 minus T1. T2 minus T1 is temperature difference, and minus ds by dt is the rate of change of that heat. So we can subject that amount of heat, right? So dcs is equal to ms dt2. So if we uh, differentiate this equation with respect to time, then we get dcs by dt is equal to ms dt2 by dt, right? So ms dt2 by dt, earlier we discussed that formula. We can write here k t2 minus t1, right? So now on integrating both the sides, here we are getting this formula log t2 minus t1 is equal to minus kt plus c, right? And further after simplifying that equation, we get t2 is equal to t1 plus c1 e raised to minus kt. Okay, so here we are having two graphs. First is delta t versus time, and another is log t2 minus t1 versus time. So for small temperature difference, rate of cooling due to conduction, convection, radiation combined is proportional to temperature difference, right? So here we are using, for Newton's law of cooling, to prove that we are using calorimetry, right? So see from figure, this is adiabatic wall all over here, right? This water we are kept at room temperature, and another, this water we are kept at that means at higher temperature. So inside these two waters we are putting thermometers to measure the temperature, right? See, wall of the container is made up of copper, means this copper, this is copper, but in between these two coppers we are using insulators, so there cannot be any changing of heat energy from one substance to the other, right? So see, as a result we can see that the difference means T2 and T1, right? Difference of these two temperature, because of that difference, heat loss of heat energy is directly proportional to the difference of temperature. Now I am giving one example, that if we have one boiled water, means it is at 100 degrees Celsius. Now we are kept that water surrounding of the atmosphere. What happens if we are measuring the temperature? The timing for temperature decreases from 100 to 80 degree. So that difference of temperature is only 20 degrees Celsius, and if you just measure the timing of reducing this temperature, is for example 30 seconds from 100 to 80 degrees Celsius. But from 80 to 60 degrees Celsius, now again 20 degree reduced, but for that temperature decrement we have that timing which is now 40 seconds. Earlier we get 30 seconds, but now we are get 40 seconds, right? Why? Because here because of temperature decreases, because of the decreasing manner, that difference of surrounding and that high temperature reduced, and if that temperature difference reduced, then our rate of heat loss also be reduced. That's why we are getting this graph which is in this manner, decreasing manner, and it is straight line, right? Why it is straight line? Because of that the temperature difference and rate of loss of heat energy, right? So that's it of today.